What does media literacy mean?
Well, if you break down the two words, media is descriptive of any form of communication. It can be radio, television, computers, billboards, other advertising, and literacy means to read or create. So when you put those two together, it's about how do we learn to critically read the media, whether it's a book or radio station, and then how do we also produce it. So media literacy is not just about analyzing the media, it's also about accessing it and creating media.
You know, we live in the most mediated society in world history. We spend 10 to 12 hours a day with media. And so I think it makes sense to really think about in a sort of systematic and sustained way our relationship with media. And if you sort of throw into the mix the fact that we, consume as many as 3,000 discrete advertising messages a day, you throw into the mix the fact that 90% of our children's media content is owned by one of 6 transnational corporations, and their number one goal by law is to make money at the expense of all other social values, or in terms of their priorities, then I think we have a really interesting dilemma on our hands. What do you do when you live in the midst of the most powerful media culture the world has ever known? I think the most important response ought to be from all of us to teach people to be more critical, not just media consumers, but to be more powerful media producers as well.
A lot of media has a financial interest, and that conflicts often with healthy behavior.
So I think really when people say, well, the media, it's shameful what the media has become, my response is, look, there's 2 trends. One is the trend towards corporatism, consolidation, centralization. The other trend is towards diversity, localism, independence, embracing new media technologies to create new stories that challenge the dominant status quo. And these 2 trends are in opposition to one another in many ways. And our job as parents, our job as teachers, our job as independent media makers, as journalists, as public health advocates, our job is to maximize the effects of the second trend towards independence, localism, diversity, and challenge as best we can the first trend, which is the trend towards corporate power, centralization, consolidation above all else, profit-seeking above all else. So there it is. I mean, that's the way I sort of understand this emerging 21st century digital media landscape. It's really a kind of a conflict or a conversation, if you will, between these 2 trends. So there's our challenge, and that's really what ACME is trying to do as an organization, as a coalition, is to bring to the table teachers, students, citizens, media makers, journalists, public health advocates, and have a conversation about how we do that. How do we maximize the good in our media culture, the stuff we want to see happen, and how do we mitigate the impact of this, corporate commercial onslaught?